Everyone needs it, everyone benefits from it, but the most important point is everyone benefits Bitcoin, right? When the bank that you hate starts to custody Bitcoin, well, that just means that the Bitcoin that you self-custody became worth 10 times as much, right? These ETFs that have bought up 1% of the supply of Bitcoin, well, they have conveyed 100x as much benefit to the people that don't believe in ETFs, right? It's $400 billion dividend to people that don't like ETFs. They're not hurting you. What happens is when your enemy joins, you're improved and the network is improved, and the likelihood of war decreases. We move, if we want to eliminate war and conflict and violence, we really want all of our enemies to settle their differences in a fair, equitable fashion. And the fair, equitable, peaceful way to settle your differences is Bitcoin. So you shouldn't fear those who don't understand, who are your enemy, who join Bitcoin. You should fear those who are your enemies that don't join Bitcoin. They're the ones that will use bullets to solve the problem.
We have now stepped into the era of the Bitcoin gold rush. The new Bitcoin ETFs have already sucked up 1% of the total supply of Bitcoin, pushing prices to new all-time highs, and the ETFs are only going to accelerate. This is the latest message out from Michael Saylor. In his most recent keynote, Saylor spoke about the urgency of embracing Bitcoin as the best asset of all time. He stressed about the importance of holding onto Bitcoin for life, highlighting its enduring value amidst economic uncertainties. His message about Bitcoin is crystal clear. It's not just for individuals or companies, but it solves a problem for literally everyone on the planet. According to Saylor, even when enemies embrace Bitcoin, it's a win-win situation. The network grows stronger, leading to a more prosperous and peaceful future for all. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where Saylor explains how the Bitcoin ETFs will lead to a decade-long gold rush for Bitcoin. Also guys, if you want to stay most up to date on the crypto world, I send out a daily 5-minute crypto newsletter that covers expert predictions, on-chain data breakdowns, and breaking news, all for free. Click the first link in the description, enter your email, and join over 50,000 others to become a better crypto investor right now. Now here's why Michael Saylor thinks the world is not ready for the Bitcoin revolution.
So I'm going to start with a simple observation I think we all understand. To survive, everyone must convert their work into assets that are scarce, desirable, portable, durable, and maintainable. If you're a living creature, you're converting your work into organic energy. We call it fat. Fat's the most scarce, desirable, portable, durable, maintainable asset in the organic world. It might have been demonized, but if you can't generate fat, you're a type 1 diabetic. Life is going to be short and brutal and difficult. You really need to be able to store energy. Now, if you're an individual, a company, a family, a government, you have the same exact challenge. Now, we all know Bitcoin is the best asset. You agree? And there is no second best asset. And that is why we are here, right? Because we need an asset. Bitcoin is the best. There is no second best. But why is that the case? Well, let's just start with Bitcoin is digital. And the entire world for the last 5,000 years has lived on analog assets. Real estate, gold, silver, paper, money, bonds, buildings, collectibles, sports teams, livestock, cattle, and bales of tobacco, seashells, and glass beads. Now we have a digital asset. In fact, this is the digital asset. Maybe this is the only digital asset. Now, what is that? What kind of asset is it? Well, you could think of it as digital capital. And we've talked about capitalism. There are hundreds of trillions of dollars of capital. Bitcoin is digital capital. You could also call it property. We have hundreds of trillions of dollars of property in the world. Bitcoin is digital property, something you can own. We could also call it wealth. Bitcoin is digital wealth. Analog wealth is when you own hundreds of acres of land somewhere. We can also call it digital money. Money, a medium of exchange, a store of value, a unit of account. But as you see, sometimes when people get when they get focused on money, they immediately go to medium of exchange, and they immediately think about a currency, and they immediately get themselves wrapped around the axle in opposition to the peso or the dollar or the naira, and it becomes a very political discussion. When you come back to think of it as property or wealth, then it becomes much less political. And of course, my favorite, Bitcoin is digital energy. Now, fat is organic energy. The universe is made up of energy. Matter is static energy. Einstein showed us that when he gave us the E equals mc squared. He said matter is energy, energy is matter. Now, Bitcoin is more than these things. I could go on for a while, but the point of this is not to talk to you about what Bitcoin is. You already know what Bitcoin means to you. The real point of this discussion is to talk about what Bitcoin means to the rest of the world. Bitcoin's going to have many types of participants in the future. You know, one set of participants, one set of people that are going to be plugged into the Bitcoin network are clearly individuals. There are 8 billion individuals on the planet. What are individuals going to contribute to the Bitcoin network? Right? The individuals bring creativity, they bring clarity, they bring conviction, they bring capability, they bring the conscience to the world. And of course, they are going to hodl. They're going to hold Bitcoin for life, right? Now, how many? Lots. Right now, there are hundreds of millions of individuals that have an interest in Bitcoin one way, shape, or the other. It's going to be billions. It's going to continue to grow. And a lot of times, a lot of our education is really focused on the individual. But I think that we can't stop with the individual, because these individuals form groups, families, corporations, governments. They perform nonprofits. They form clubs, churches. There are a lot of ways that individual creativity and aspiration manifests itself. And of course, one of my favorites is families. There's about 1 billion families. And why do families matter? They're the future of humanity. That's why they matter, right? Families bring the compassion, they bring the community, they bring continuity, they bring joy, they bring hope. And a family is just a much more powerful unit than just an individual. Families will hodl. And we're starting to think about families now and how they join the network. But there's a third organization, third type of group, an investment company. This is a set of organizations have not been involved in Bitcoin much for the first 15 years of its existence. But investment companies can be they can be mutual funds, they can be trust funds, they can be exchange-traded funds, these ETFs, they can be hedge funds, and they have not trillions, but probably $100 trillion worth of assets floating out there, and they get to decide how those assets will be disposed of and how they'll be situated. And they are actually acting on behalf of families and on behalf of individuals. On one hand, you can't write them off when they can decide to reallocate $10 billion from gold to Bitcoin on behalf of 18 million retirees that used to work for the Postal Service, right? And when they make that decision, they're making that decision that impacts families and impacts individuals, but they're also making the decision as a fiduciary. And the last 36 days have been an illustration of how important these kind of companies are, because every day in the market, they're buying hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin, they're trading it, and they're building up billion-dollar positions. This has just started. We're 36 days into a massive adoption of just these exchange-traded funds, but it's going to just keep going, and they're going to ripple all through the world, through all sorts of economies, and they will have a profound impact, and in my opinion, a profound impact for good. It used to be, if you go back to 2018 in the Bitcoin community, if you said you said Larry Fink, they would say, oh, Larry Fink doesn't like us. And in the year 2024, Larry Fink goes on television and speaks to leaders in the world and says Bitcoin is a store of value. It protects the sovereignty of the individual. It allows you to achieve your hopes. It is hope. Larry Fink has said Bitcoin is hope. Now, what does that say to me? It says, we don't have enemies. What we have are people that need Bitcoin that don't yet know why they should be our friend. When someone goes on television and they're asked, what do you think about Bitcoin? And they get poked and they're a little bit irritated, they got to ask the question. They're not an enemy of Bitcoin, they're just not prepared for the question. And in fact, over time, the journalist will do the poking because they know the most important thing in the world today is Bitcoin. And you're going to have a group of people that understand it, that will say it's the future. And you'll have a group of people that don't understand it and they will not have embraced it. But at the end of the day, with time, with education, we're going to see more and more people join the network and they're going to participate. Now, those investment companies aren't the only type of companies. There are operating companies. And by the way, how many? If you do a quick Google search, 333 million is the count on Google of companies in the world. Think about that for a second, 333 million. There's a lot of companies, and all of these individuals and all of these families, they all act through corporate entities. Oftentimes, you'll see a group of 5 or 6 or 10 or 50 or 500 or 5,000 or 50,000. Now, how important are companies? Well, they provide all the products, all the services. They develop technology. Not many people in the room can create their own iPhone. Not many people in the room want to manufacture and ship all their food or grow their own fruit in the winter. These companies are critical to our quality of life. We know that from Austrian economics. But if you're wondering, how long have we had specialization of labor? 1 million years ago, they dug up stone axe factories. And it indicates that 1 million years ago, before we had writing, before there was recorded history, there was a company manufacturing stone axes, which meant that there was a specialized economy with corporations. There were people growing food, there were people hunting, there were people fighting, there were probably people collecting the taxes to pay for the stone axes, for the people fighting. It's all happened before. And today, companies like Apple and Google and Microsoft perform pretty systemically important roles, as does the airline that flew you here, as does the contractor that built the stadium or built the bridges or the tunnels or the airports you landed on. These are important. What are they going to bring to Bitcoin? Well, they're going to bring new services, like Cash App as a service. They're going to bring new products. They're going to bring in your signing devices. They're going to bring you full nodes or integrated nodes or the like. They're going to bring new technology. One day, I believe Apple, Microsoft, Google, they will all integrate Bitcoin and layer 2 protocols like Lightning into their phones, into their computers, into their web services, into their cloud services.
So there's Michael Saylor with his insightful take on Bitcoin. He's painting a picture of a gold rush where even a small investment into Bitcoin will lead to significant gains. Saylor's message is clear. Bitcoin is not just an asset, it's a necessity for survival, a lifelong investment and a force that governments are not fully prepared for. He emphasizes that Bitcoin's benefits extend beyond believers, impacting even those who are skeptical. He believes that Bitcoin's impact goes beyond individual interests. It's a transformative force that can unite even the most unlikely allies and pave the way for a more prosperous future. Before we go, a quick reminder for those who are keen on staying updated in the fast-paced world of crypto and Bitcoin, consider subscribing to our daily 5-minute crypto newsletter. It's a concise resource for the latest expert predictions, breaking news, and top on-chain analysis trusted by over 50,000 subscribers for insightful crypto investment information. Click the first link in the description to join our community and elevate your crypto investment knowledge today. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video and that provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.